A girl saved a stray German shepherd in the storm, not knowing the owner was a reclusive millionaire. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now let's dive into the story. Imagine, on a stormy night, a girl stumbles upon a stray dog, shivering in the cold and desperate for help. Little did she know, this act of kindness would lead to something far more extraordinary than she could have ever imagined. Stay tuned to find out what happens next. The next morning, the storm had passed, leaving behind a cold but clear sky. Emma woke up to the soft sound of rain tapping against her window, a gentle reminder of the chaos that had unfolded the night before. She had barely slept, her mind racing with the events of the previous evening. She had saved the stray German shepherd, but now the question lingered. What should she do next? She couldn't just keep the dog without knowing where it belonged. She had to find its owner. It wasn't like her to leave things unresolved. She grabbed her phone and searched for a local animal shelter, hoping they could help, but there was no time to waste. She needed to figure this out. As she stood in her small kitchen, making herself a cup of coffee, she glanced over at the dog sleeping soundly on her couch. The dog had been through so much, and she could tell it trusted her. Emma could not turn her back on that trust. She had to do right by this animal. She decided to give the dog a bath before heading out, hoping to find some sort of identification. Gently, she lifted the dog into the small tub, taking care not to hurt it. The dog winced slightly, but Emma spoke softly to it, comforting it as she washed away the dirt and grime. She felt a strange sense of peace as she worked, the rhythm of the task easing her mind. While drying the dog off, she noticed something. A collar. It was simple, a basic leather band with a small, shiny tag. Emma's heart skipped a beat when she saw the name engraved on the tag. Max. She carefully examined it, but there was no phone number, no other information. It was a start at least. Emma let out a sigh of relief. She wasn't entirely sure what to do next, but at least she had a name to go on. She could start asking around the neighborhood or go to the shelter for advice. But just as she was about to grab her coat, she heard a knock at the door. She froze, her heart racing. Who could that be? She opened the door cautiously, only to be met by a man, tall, well-dressed, and looking out of place in her modest apartment. He looked down at her, his expression neutral but kind. "Excuse me," he began, his voice smooth and calm. "Is this where my dog Max is?" Emma blinked in surprise. "Max, you're his owner?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The man nodded, his eyes softening as he looked past her at the dog, who had perked up at the sound of his name. Emma stepped aside, allowing him to enter. As soon as he saw the dog, his face lit up, and he crouched down, calling out gently, "Hey, buddy." Max bounded toward him, tail wagging in excitement. The man knelt down to hug the dog, and Emma watched, feeling a mix of emotions. Relief for the dog, but also something else she couldn't quite place. She had been the one to save Max, but now, here was his owner. The man straightened up and turned to Emma, his expression serious but grateful. "Thank you," he said, his voice low. "I had no idea he had run off. I've been searching for him all night. I live just a few miles away." Emma nodded, still processing what was happening. "I just found him last night," she said. "He was out in the storm. I couldn't leave him out there." The man smiled slightly, then reached into his pocket. "I don't know how to repay you," he said, "but I'd like to offer you something. A reward, perhaps? Or maybe I can help you with something you need." Emma shook her head quickly. No, that's not necessary. I was just doing the right thing." But the man insisted. "At least let me help you with something. You've done something for me that I can't forget." He paused for a moment, as if considering something. "I can offer you a job, if you're interested. My company is always looking for talented people, and you clearly have a big heart." Emma blinked in surprise, unsure of how to respond. She didn't think she was qualified for a job in a company, especially one that might involve someone like this man, who, from his appearance, had to be a wealthy businessman. But before she could say anything, the man continued. "I run a tech company," he said. "It's not much, but we're always in need of people who care about others. If you're looking for work, I can find a place for you." Emma stood there, stunned. She had never imagined anything like this happening, certainly not in a million years. A job offer from a stranger she had just met, a man who, despite being a millionaire, seemed genuinely grateful for the help she had given him. She felt a mix of emotions, surprise, disbelief, and something else that felt like hope. Was this a sign? I don't know what to say. Emma finally managed. This is all so unexpected. The man smiled kindly. You don't have to say anything now. Think about it. My name is Liam Parker, by the way. Liam extended his hand, and Emma hesitated for just a second before shaking it. Something about his handshake felt sincere, solid. I'll give you my business card, Liam said, pulling one from his wallet and handing it to her. You can call me anytime if you want to talk about the job or anything else. And again, thank you for taking care of Max. As Emma stood in the doorway, watching Liam leave, she felt a whirlwind of thoughts racing through her mind. She had saved a dog, and in doing so, had somehow found herself at the center of a whirlwind that could change her life forever. What had just happened? Was this really happening? It had been 3 days since Emma met Liam Parker, and though she kept telling herself that it was just an offer, something about his words stuck with her. A job? Her? She wasn't sure what to think. The idea of working for someone like him, someone who clearly had wealth and influence, seemed like a dream that she never dared to entertain. But as she sat at her kitchen table, looking at the business card he had given her, her mind kept returning to the same thought. What if? What if this could be her chance to escape the cycle of endless jobs and struggle she had been living in? The truth was, Emma had always wanted more. She had dreams of running her own art studio, of having the financial stability to pursue her passion without worrying about paying the bills. But those dreams always seemed too far out of reach, too unattainable. She took another sip of her coffee, the warm liquid doing little to calm her nerves. She couldn't stop thinking about Liam's offer. The way he had looked at her, as if he truly saw her, as if he didn't just view her as another struggling person, but someone with potential. The way he had thanked her, genuinely, for taking care of his dog. It wasn't just the dog he appreciated. It was her kindness, her selflessness. And she couldn't help but wonder if maybe, just maybe, that was what she needed. A chance to prove herself. A chance to show someone, anyone, that she had more to offer than what her circumstances had shown so far. Later that afternoon, after much contemplation, Emma made the decision. She was going to call Liam. She had to know more about this opportunity, even if she didn't believe she was ready for it. After all, what did she have to lose? With a deep breath, she dialed the number on his business card. The phone rang twice before he picked up. Hello, Liam Parker speaking. His voice was calm, but there was a warmth in it, a kindness that made Emma feel more at ease. Hi, Liam, Emma said, her voice shaking slightly. It's Emma, from the other night. I've been thinking about your offer. She paused, gathering her courage. I'd like to know more about it. If you still think there's a place for me. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line, and Emma's heart pounded in her chest. Had she made a mistake? Was he going to laugh at her for even considering it? But then, Liam spoke again, his tone even more reassuring than before. Of course, Emma. I'm glad. You called, he continued. Let's meet tomorrow at my office. I'll explain everything, and we can talk about what you're looking for. No pressure, just a conversation. Emma's breath caught in her throat. She couldn't believe it. She had done it. She had taken the first step, and he hadn't turned her away. He was offering her a chance, a real opportunity. Thank you, Liam, Emma said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'll be there. After hanging up, Emma sat back in her chair, staring at the business card once more. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time in a long while, she felt a spark of hope. She had taken a leap of faith, and now, she was going to see where it would lead. The next day, Emma found herself standing outside a sleek, modern office building in the heart of the city, a place she had only ever seen from a distance. She had put on her best outfit, a simple but clean dress and flats, though she felt completely out of place among the well-dressed professionals streaming in and out of the building. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her nerves, and walked through the door. The receptionist greeted her with a smile and directed her to an elevator that took her up to the top floor. The elevator doors opened to reveal a stunning office space, with large windows offering a breathtaking view of the city. It felt like stepping into another world, one that Emma had only dreamed of being a part of. Liam was already waiting for her, standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out over the city. He turned when he heard her footsteps, and the warmth in his smile immediately put her at ease. "Emma, I'm glad you made it," he said as he walked over to greet her. "Please, have a seat." Emma followed him to a sleek conference table, feeling like she was stepping into the unknown, but also like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Liam sat across from her, his expression professional but kind. "So, Emma," he began, "I wanted to talk to you today because I think you could be a great fit for our team. I run a tech company, but we place a high value on people who care about others, people who are driven by something more than just a paycheck." He paused, watching her closely. "I think you have that kind of heart." Emma's cheeks flushed with surprise. She hadn't expected him to say anything like that. I don't know what to say," she stammered, feeling a wave of emotion rise in her chest. "I've never really thought of myself as someone who could work in tech." Liam smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling. "That's the beauty of it, Emma. It's not about what you know, but about who you are. We can teach you the skills you need. What we can't teach is kindness, and that's something you already have in abundance." His words left her speechless, and for the first time in a long time, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she wasn't as far away from her dreams as she thought. The days following Emma's meeting with Liam passed by in a blur. She couldn't stop thinking about the conversation they had in his office, the way he had looked at her, like she was someone worth investing in, someone with potential. The idea of working for a company, especially one as prestigious as his, was still surreal. She spent the next few days in a whirlwind of excitement, doubt, and nervous anticipation. She had never expected her life to take such a dramatic turn, but now she had a choice to make. The offer Liam gave her wasn't just about a job. It felt like an opportunity to change her entire life. She didn't have the luxury of living in a world where opportunities like this were handed out every day. For Emma, this was the chance she had always dreamed of, even if it seemed impossible. The night before her first official day at Liam's company, Emma lay awake in her small bed, staring up at the ceiling. She couldn't sleep, her thoughts racing. What if she wasn't good enough? What if they found out she didn't belong there, that she was just a waitress from a small town, someone who had no real experience in tech or business? The self-doubt crept in slowly, like a dark cloud threatening to cover the excitement she had felt earlier. She had never been given a chance like this, and the pressure to prove herself felt overwhelming. But then she remembered Liam's words. "It's not about what you know, but about who you are." Those words echoed in her mind as she finally drifted off to sleep. When Emma arrived at the company's office the next morning, she felt out of place. The building was sleek and modern, the kind of place she had only seen in movies or read about in magazines. As she stepped into the lobby, she could feel her heart racing. She straightened her dress and took a deep breath, trying to calm the nervous energy swirling inside her. The receptionist greeted her with a warm smile, her professionalism making Emma feel even more like an outsider. "Welcome," the receptionist said. "Mr. Parker is expecting you. You can head up to the 10th floor. The elevator is to your right." Emma nodded and walked toward the elevator, her mind racing with 1,000 thoughts. What was this job going to be like? Was she really ready for this? The doors opened, and she stepped inside, pressing the button for the 10th floor. As the elevator ascended, she tried to calm her nerves. This was it. This was the beginning of something new. When she reached the 10th floor, Liam was waiting for her outside the elevator, his warm smile instantly putting her at ease. "Good morning, Emma," he said. "I'm glad you made it." He gestured for her to follow him, leading her into a bright, open space filled with sleek desks and large windows overlooking the city. It was nothing like the small, cramped diner where she had spent so many hours, but somehow, it felt like a new world that she could belong to. "This is our main floor," Liam explained as he walked her around. "We have teams for different projects, and today, I want you to meet a few of the people you'll be working with. I know it's a lot to take in, but don't worry. Everyone here is really supportive, and we're all working toward the same goal." Emma nodded, feeling the weight of his words settle in her chest. This was real. This wasn't just a dream anymore. It was happening. She could feel her nerves starting to settle as she followed Liam, meeting the members of the team and slowly beginning to understand how everything worked. She was introduced to Mark, the head of operations, who explained the company's day-to-day processes, and Rachel, the project manager. who showed Emma the different software programs they used. Though Emma didn't fully understand everything just yet, she could tell that these people weren't just colleagues. They were passionate about their work, and it was clear they believed in what they were doing. After the introductions, Liam led Emma to her new desk. It was simple, with a computer, a few notebooks, and a small plant sitting on the corner. "This will be your space," Liam said, smiling at her. "I know it's a big change, but I believe in you, Emma. You've already shown that you have the heart for this. Now, it's just about learning the skills." Emma smiled, a little overwhelmed but deeply touched by his faith in her. "Thank you, Liam," she said quietly. "I'll do my best." As the day went on, Emma found herself slowly becoming more comfortable in this new environment. The work was challenging, but she could see the potential in it, the possibility for growth and success. And, perhaps most importantly, she felt a sense of belonging, something she had never experienced before. At the end of the day, as she packed up her things and prepared to leave, Liam approached her. "How was your first day?" he asked. Emma smiled, feeling a genuine sense of gratitude. "It was great," she replied. "I have a lot to learn, but I'm excited." Liam nodded, his expression warm. "I'm glad to hear that. You're off to a good start, Emma. Keep it up." As Emma walked out of the building, she felt like she was walking on air. She had done it. She had taken the leap, and it was paying off. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she had a chance to build something. Something real, something hers. And as she stepped out into the city's busy streets, she couldn't help but smile, knowing that her life was about to change in ways she had never imagined. The weeks that followed Emma's first day at Liam's company were a blur of learning, adjusting, and growing. The excitement of her new job had quickly turned into a deep sense of commitment. Every day, she showed up early, eager to prove herself, to show that she was capable of more than just waiting tables. Liam's belief in her seemed to fuel her determination, and the more she learned, the more confident she became. She spent hours each day sitting at her desk, reading up on the software programs, practicing the tasks she had been assigned, and asking her colleagues for help when she needed it. Mark, the head of operations, was patient and always ready to guide her, and Rachel, the project manager, often stayed late to help her with anything she struggled with. Slowly but surely, Emma began to fit in, gaining respect from her colleagues, and even starting to contribute to some of the smaller projects. There was a sense of pride she hadn't felt in years, and the more she grew into her role, the more she realized how much she had been missing in her life. She had always dreamed of having a career, a place where she belonged, but it had never seemed possible. Now, she could see the path in front of her. One afternoon, a few weeks into her new role, Liam asked her to meet him in his office. She had been working on a project for the past few days, and she was eager to show him what she had accomplished. When she arrived, he stood by the window, looking out over the city, just as he had on the day they first met. He turned when he heard her approach and gave her a warm smile. "Emma, I wanted to take a moment to thank you for all the hard work you've been putting in. I've been watching your progress, and I'm impressed," Liam said. Emma smiled, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. "Thank you, Liam. I've been doing my best." "And it's showing," Liam replied. "I've been thinking a lot about the future, and I think you're ready for more responsibility." Emma's heart skipped a beat. Was he offering her more? More than just the small projects she had been working on. "I've seen how well you work with the team, and I think you're ready to take on a leadership role," Liam continued. "I want you to lead one of our new projects, something that's really important to the company. I believe in your potential, Emma." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She had never imagined herself in a leadership position, especially not this soon. But something about Liam's confidence in her made her feel like maybe, just maybe, she could do it. She had come so far already, and now she had a chance to prove herself even more. I don't know what to say," she stammered. "I've never led a project before. Are you sure I'm ready?" Liam smiled kindly. "I wouldn't ask if I didn't believe you were ready. You've already shown leadership qualities in the way you've been working with the team. Now, it's time to take that next step. You're capable of more than you realize." Emma's mind raced. This was a big opportunity, one she couldn't afford to let slip by. She had always been afraid of taking risks, of failing, but here was her chance to step up. After a long pause, she finally nodded. "Okay, I'll do it. I won't let you down." Liam's smile widened. "I know you won't. I'm excited to see what you'll do." Over the next few weeks, Emma threw herself into the project. She worked late nights, met with different teams, and made decisions she never thought she'd be capable of making. It was challenging, but it also felt incredibly rewarding. For the first time in her life, she felt like she was truly making a difference. And with each step forward, she grew more confident in herself and her abilities. Liam checked in on her regularly, offering advice and encouragement. It wasn't long before Emma began to see the results of her hard work. The project started to take shape, and her team was impressed with her leadership. She was no longer just the shy, uncertain new hire. She was someone who could make things happen, someone who was ready for the next big step in her career. But despite the success, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that she was still standing on the edge of something much bigger. One evening, after a particularly long day at the office, Emma found herself walking home, her mind still buzzing with ideas for the project. As she passed the cafe where she had once met Liam, she smiled to herself, thinking back to that night. She had never imagined that something as simple as helping a stray dog could change her life so completely. She had gone from a waitress with no prospects to a project leader in a thriving company. It was more than she had ever hoped for, but as she walked down the street, she realized that this was just the beginning. She had so much more to give, and with Liam's support, she was ready to see just how far she could go. As the weeks went by, Emma found herself fully immersed in her new role, and the project she had taken the lead on was beginning to take shape. The team was responding well to her leadership, and she felt a growing sense of pride in what she was accomplishing. But as much as she was thriving at work, something in the back of her mind kept tugging at her. She couldn't shake the feeling that the changes in her life weren't just about her career. They were about her entire future. The more she got to know Liam, the more she realized that he was not only her boss, but someone who had opened her eyes to what was possible in life. His belief in her had pushed her to places she never thought she could go, but there was a part of her that felt unsure about the deeper connection they shared. Was this just a professional relationship, or was there something more? One evening, after a long day of meetings, Liam invited Emma to dinner at a restaurant downtown. They had spent so many hours together in the office, but tonight, it was different. It felt like something more personal. Emma couldn't help but feel a little nervous as she dressed for the evening. She had become used to being around Liam, but tonight, there was an unspoken tension in the air. When she arrived at the restaurant, she was greeted by a charming atmosphere, soft lighting, and the sound of quiet conversation. Liam was already there, seated at a corner table. He looked up as she approached, his eyes lighting up when he saw her. "You look amazing," he said with a smile, and for the first time, Emma felt a warmth in her chest that wasn't just gratitude. She felt something else, something she couldn't quite name. As the evening progressed, they talked about their lives outside of work. Liam shared more about his past, about how he had built his company from the ground up and the sacrifices he had made along the way. He talked about the loneliness he had experienced in his personal life, about how his wealth and success had come at a high cost. Emma listened intently, feeling a deep sense of empathy for him. She had always admired his confidence and determination, but tonight, she saw a different side of him, a side that was vulnerable and open. "I never thought I'd meet someone like you," Liam said, his voice soft as he looked at her. "You're different, Emma. You have this light about you, and it's something I didn't realize I was missing until I met you." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure what to say. Part of her wanted to tell him how she felt, but another part of her was afraid of what that might mean. She had always kept her emotions guarded, afraid of letting anyone get too close. "Liam," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "I don't know what to say. You've done so much for me, and I can't even begin to thank you enough. But I never expected this, to be here, to be part of something this big." Liam reached across the table and took her hand gently in his. "You deserve it, Emma," he said, his voice sincere. "I see something in you that I've never seen in anyone else. And I want to help you, not just with your career, but with everything. I want to be there for you." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with meaning. Emma's heart raced as she processed what he had just said. Did he really mean it? Was he offering her more than just a job? Was he offering her something deeper, something real? She wasn't sure, but she felt something shift inside her. She felt like she was standing at the edge of something new, something she had never imagined for herself. "Liam," she said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper, "I don't know what to say. I don't know if I'm ready for everything you're offering me. But I know one thing for sure. I've never felt more alive than I do now. You've changed everything for me. Liam's eyes softened as he squeezed her hand. You don't have to be ready, Emma, he said. We can take it slow. I just want you to know that I'm here for you, in whatever way you need me. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she was no longer alone in the world. She had always carried the weight of her struggles on her own, but now, she had someone who saw her, who believed in her, who wanted to help her succeed, not just in her career, but in her life. As the evening came to a close, Emma walked out of the restaurant with Liam by her side, feeling like she had just stepped into a new chapter of her life. It wasn't just the job that had changed her life. It was the unexpected connection with Liam, a connection that was deeper and more meaningful than anything she had ever experienced. She didn't know where this would lead, but for the first time, she was excited to find out. The days after that dinner felt different for Emma. Something between her and Liam had changed. Their conversations were warmer, their glances lingered longer, and there was a quiet understanding growing between them that went beyond their professional bond. She found herself looking forward to seeing him every morning, her heart lifting whenever she heard his voice. For the first time in years, Emma felt not only secure in her career, but also alive in a way she had not felt in a very long time. Yet, beneath all that warmth, a small voice of doubt lingered in the back of her mind. Was she crossing a line? Was it foolish to believe that someone like Liam Parker, a man with wealth, power, and influence, could ever truly see her as an equal? She had learned to be cautious with her heart, and though she tried to quiet that voice, it only grew louder as their connection deepened. One Friday afternoon, Liam invited her to accompany him to a charity gala his company was sponsoring. You deserve to be there, Emma, he said with his usual kindness. This project you led is the reason we're being recognized tonight. She hesitated, unsure if she belonged in that kind of world. The thought of being surrounded by people in expensive gowns and tuxedos made her stomach twist with anxiety. Liam, I do not know if that is a good idea, she admitted. I do not think I fit in with that kind of crowd. Liam smiled gently, shaking his head. You belong there more than anyone else. You earned this, Emma. Let me prove it to you. His confidence in her was impossible to resist. That evening, she stood in front of the mirror, in a simple yet elegant dress that she had borrowed from Rachel. Her reflection looked unfamiliar, stronger, more poised, like someone stepping into a new version of herself. When Liam arrived to pick her up, his eyes widened slightly. You look incredible, he said softly, offering his arm. Are you ready? The gala was held in one of the city's most luxurious hotels, a place Emma had only ever walked past before. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and the room buzzed with laughter, conversation, and the soft clinking of glasses. As they entered, heads turned. Liam was well known in these circles, and his presence always drew attention. But tonight, all eyes seemed to shift to the woman at his side. Emma could feel the weight of those gazes, the whispers that followed them. She straightened her shoulders and held her head high, determined not to let her nerves show. Throughout the night, Liam stayed close, introducing her to his colleagues and business partners. Each time, he spoke about her with pride, calling her the heart behind their latest project. The warmth in his voice when he said her name made her chest tighten. For a moment, Emma forgot about her insecurities and simply allowed herself to enjoy the evening. As the night went on, a live band began to play, and Liam turned to her with a smile. Dance with me, he asked. Emma hesitated, glancing around the crowded ballroom. Liam, I do not know if that is a good idea. Everyone is watching. He chuckled softly. Let them watch. He took her hand and led her to the dance floor. The moment his hand found hers, the world seemed to quiet around them. The music was slow, gentle, and as they moved together, Emma felt a sense of peace she had never known before. For a fleeting moment, it did not matter who they were or where they came from. It was just them, two people who had somehow found each other in the chaos of life. But the spell was broken when a woman approached them, a tall, elegant figure with sharp eyes and a knowing smile. Liam Parker, she said smoothly, her tone polite but edged with curiosity. It has been a while. And who is this? Liam's grip on Emma's hand tightened slightly. This is Emma, he said. She works with me. The woman's smile did not waver, but her eyes flickered with something that made Emma's stomach twist. Of course she does, the woman said before turning to Liam again. You always had an eye for potential. With that, she walked away, leaving an uncomfortable silence in her wake. Emma's heart sank. She knew exactly what the woman had meant. Liam turned back to her, his expression apologetic. I am sorry about that. Some people like to make assumptions. Emma forced a small smile. It is fine, Liam. I am used to it. But inside, she was not fine. The words replayed in her mind over and over as the night went on, chipping away at the fragile confidence she had built. Maybe she had been naive to think she could ever belong in his world. As they left the gala later that night, the city lights reflected in the car window, and Emma sat quietly, lost in thought. Liam glanced at her, concern written across his face. Emma, talk to me. What is wrong? She hesitated, then finally said, I just do not know if I belong here, Liam. With you, in your world. I am not like them. Liam's voice was soft but firm. You do belong, Emma. You are here because you earned it. Do not ever let anyone make you feel otherwise. His words were comforting, but as she stared out at the city lights, Emma could not help but wonder if belonging was really that simple. In her heart, she wanted to believe him, but part of her knew that the challenges were only beginning. The following days after the gala left Emma with a lot on her mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was still an outsider in Liam's world, despite his reassurances. She kept thinking about the woman who had approached them on the dance floor, the way her words had stung. Was she really just a project for Liam? A kind-hearted employee he had decided to help? The uncertainty gnawed at Emma, especially as she continued to navigate this new life she had found herself in. Her job was going well, the project she had taken the lead on was nearing completion, and her relationship with Liam seemed to grow stronger every day. But that nagging voice inside her wouldn't quiet down. She couldn't shake the doubt that had crept into her heart. She had been raised to believe that the world of the wealthy and successful was something she would never be a part of, and here she was, stepping into that world every day. Could she ever truly fit in? Could someone like her ever be truly accepted by someone like Liam? A few weeks later, after a particularly intense meeting at the office, Liam invited her out for a walk. It was a bright, sunny afternoon, and for once, the weight of her thoughts seemed to lift as they stepped out into the fresh air. Liam had always been a steady presence in her life, but today, there was something different about him. He was quieter than usual, as if he was carrying something that he hadn't yet shared. What's on your mind? Emma asked, glancing at him as they walked side by side. Liam looked over at her, his expression thoughtful. I've been meaning to talk to you, Emma, he said, his voice softer than usual. I know I haven't exactly made it clear, but I need you to know something. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure what to expect, but something told her this conversation was going to change everything. What is it? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. Liam paused, taking a deep breath before continuing. I think I'm falling for you, Emma. The words hung in the air between them, and Emma stopped in her tracks, her breath catching in her throat. Had she heard him right? Her mind raced, trying to make sense of what he had just said. Liam, she started, but her words faltered. I wasn't expecting that, she admitted, her voice shaking. I didn't know how to say this, but I couldn't keep pretending that I didn't feel it, Liam continued, stepping closer to her. I've been holding back because of our work relationship, because of the world we come from. But the truth is, I care about you. More than I thought I could. Emma stood frozen, trying to process everything. She had felt the connection between them, but she had convinced herself it was just her imagination, that maybe she was reading too much into things. She had been so focused on the idea that she didn't belong, that she never allowed herself to consider that Liam might feel the same way. Liam, she said softly, taking a step closer. I care about you too, but I don't know if I can do this. If we can do this. Liam reached out and took her hand in his, the warmth of his touch sending a shiver down her spine. Emma, I don't care about the obstacles, he said. I don't care about our pasts, about the things that hold us back. All I care about is what we have right now. The sincerity in his eyes was overwhelming, and Emma felt the walls around her heart begin to crumble. She had spent so much time hiding, holding herself back, afraid of what might happen if she let herself fully embrace this. But standing here, with Liam's hand in hers, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she could take that leap. I've been so afraid, Emma confessed, her voice barely a whisper. Afraid that I wouldn't fit in, that I wouldn't be enough. Afraid that I'd lose myself. Liam gently cupped her face, his touch gentle but firm. You don't have to be afraid, he said softly. You don't have to lose yourself. I'm not asking you to change. I'm asking you to trust me, to trust us. Tears welled up in Emma's eyes as the weight of his words sank in. For the first time in a long time, she felt seen. She felt like she wasn't just someone who had been handed an opportunity, but someone who was worthy of love, worthy of happiness. I want to trust you, Emma whispered. I want to try. Liam's smile was full of warmth and relief as he leaned in and kissed her gently. In that moment, everything else faded away. All the doubts, all the fears, all the insecurities that had held her back for so long seemed to vanish. In his arms, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. The next few weeks were filled with a quiet joy that Emma had never known before. She and Liam spent more time together outside of work, exploring the city, talking about their hopes and dreams, and learning about each other in ways that went beyond the surface. Emma no longer felt like an outsider in his world. She felt like she belonged, not just because of what she could offer professionally, but because of who she was. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. As the months passed, Emma and Liam's relationship continued to grow stronger. They found a rhythm together, balancing their work lives with their personal connection. Every day, Emma woke up with a renewed sense of purpose, no longer just a waitress trying to make ends meet, but a woman who had found not only a career, but someone who truly saw her for who she was. Liam was not just her boss anymore. He was her partner, her confidant, and the person who made her feel understood in ways she had never experienced before. At work, Emma had earned the respect of her colleagues. The project she had led was a huge success, and Liam often praised her efforts, not just for her work ethic, but for the heart she put into everything she did. As they celebrated their accomplishments together, Emma realized just how far she had come, from a young woman with no prospects to someone who was now shaping the future of a growing company. But it wasn't just her career that had blossomed. In Liam, Emma had found a love that was patient and kind, a love that supported her, helped her grow, and encouraged her to believe in herself. They spent weekends exploring new places, having quiet dinners at home, and sharing their dreams for the future. Emma had always kept her dreams close to her chest, too afraid to let anyone see them, but with Liam, she felt safe enough to open up. One evening, as they sat on the couch in Liam's apartment, a glass of wine in hand, Emma looked at him, her heart full of gratitude. Liam, she began, her voice soft but steady. I've been thinking a lot lately about how much my life has changed since I met you. I never imagined I'd be here, doing the things I'm doing, or even being in a relationship like this. Liam smiled, his eyes filled with affection as he reached out to take her hand. I'm glad you're here, Emma, he said gently. You've changed my life too. You remind me of what really matters: kindness, honesty, and the importance of taking chances. I never thought I'd find someone who makes me want to be a better person. Emma's heart swelled as she heard his words. She had always been afraid of letting people in, afraid of being vulnerable, but Liam had shown her that it was possible to love and be loved without fear. They had both taken a chance on each other, and that risk had brought them to a place of true happiness. That evening, as they sat there, talking about their future together, something inside Emma clicked. She had always been so focused on what she didn't have, the things she thought she was missing, that she had never stopped to appreciate all that she had gained. She had found not just a career, but a sense of purpose, not just a job, but a team that supported her, not just a house, but a home. And most importantly, she had found someone who loved her, not because of her success or what she could do, but because of who she was. Emma turned to Liam, her eyes filled with emotion. I want to be with you, Liam, she said softly. I want to be a part of your life, not just as your partner in business, but in everything. I've never felt more certain of anything in my life. Liam's eyes softened, and he squeezed her hand. I feel the same way, Emma. You've been my rock through all of this, and I want to build a future with you. Together. Emma's heart raced as she felt the weight of his words. She had never felt so sure of anything in her life. They had built something together, a connection, a partnership, and a love that had transformed her in ways she couldn't even begin to explain. As the night wore on, they talked about their dreams, where they wanted to travel, what kind of life they hoped to build, and the family they dreamed of having one day. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt like everything was falling into place. She wasn't just a girl who had stumbled into a new job or a relationship that felt like a dream. She was a woman who had worked hard to get where she was, who had fought through her doubts and fears, and who had found a love that made her feel whole. The next day, Liam took Emma to a quiet park, the sun shining brightly above. They sat on a bench, surrounded by flowers, and watched the world go by. After a few moments of silence, Liam turned to her, his gaze intense. "Emma," he said softly, "I know this might seem fast, but I want you to know that I can't imagine my life without you. Will you marry me?" Emma's breath caught in her throat. Her heart skipped a beat as she looked at him, her mind racing. She had never thought she would be ready for this. But in that moment, with the man who had changed her life sitting beside her, she knew that she was. She had found the one person who made her feel truly alive, and she wasn't going to let go of that. With tears in her eyes and a smile on her face, Emma nodded. "Yes, Liam, I will marry you." As he slipped the ring on her finger, Emma felt a rush of happiness flood her heart. This was it, the moment she had been waiting for. A new chapter, one that was full of hope, love, and endless possibilities. Together, they had built something beautiful, and Emma knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. The future was bright, and she was ready to embrace it, side by side with Liam.